All right, it is time for the good, bad, and player of the week for NFL Week 6. And as if you notice, there's not going to be anything on the Monday Night Football game. I probably should have made the disclaimer the first time I did it, and I can't remember if I did or not. But these videos are mainly about, the Thursday and Sunday game, because I'll touch up on the Monday night game on the recap of the week. But I just don't focus really on the Monday night game on this kind of video, because the Sundays where the bulk of the games happen. And while Monday night, there was a good chance that big things can happen. Like last week, like if I would have waited, Lamar Jackson probably would have been like player of the week over Justin Herbert. But, things like that, I can't control it. I can't control what games the NFL decides to put on at the times they put on. So this is just an overview of the Sunday and Thursday games. So let's start off with the bad from this week. And let's start on a serious note. Darrell Taylor of the Seahawks looked like he had a pretty bad injury on Sunday Night Football. I hope he's okay. I heard that he was able to, move everything when he was in the hospital and everything else, but that injury didn't look good. They stopped the game for quite a while to, get him the attention that he needed and deserved in that moment to help him, get off the field, take care of him very well. And everybody rallied around him. So I just, as a serious note, I hope that he's okay. And then another injuries, you have Kareem Hunt and Baker Mayfield. Injuries suck, and those obviously weren't as serious, but, you never want to see injuries, so hopefully everybody there is all right. So let's look at the actual football side of everything for this week, and let's start off with the Chiefs turnovers as the first bad thing of the week. It's like, it seems like as a trend with this team now, they love turnovers. They're, like last year, they would just like give up points and then come from behind. This year, they're just like turning the ball over, letting the team get the lead, and then coming back. Obviously, that shows that hasn't worked this year. They cannot continue to turn over the football, man. It has been bad, like really, really bad all year. This season they've had a turnover. I'm pretty sure. I think in every single game this year. Hill obviously should have made that catch. Hardman needs to control the ball, and then Mahomes had a really nasty, unadvised, terrible throw at the end of the first half. Like those turnovers have got to go, but. I mean, yeah, Chiefs turnovers have not been pretty, and they're lucky they played Washington, who didn't do anything in the second half, or that would have been much, much, much worse. The next bad thing of the week that I have is that taunting penalty on the last drive of the Bucs-Eagles game. Like, come on, what are we doing with that? Like, this taunting rule, man, it's got to go. I don't understand it. These players are literally just there trying to play. It's the end of the game. The emotions are high. The Eagles are trying to make a comeback and everything after playing like crap the entire game. The Buccaneers, kind of sleepwalking through that game. They really didn't play their best game either. They won. They obviously put up, the points they needed to win. They didn't do anything really that special. But in a game where the emotions are high for the Eagles, they were trying to come back and win that game against a very tough opponent. Taunting rules can't, determine the outcomes of that game, because all that did was, drain out the rest of the clock, and the Bucs didn't even have to punt, kick a field goal, do nothing. They just ran out the clock and won the game. So that taunting penalty really screwed it. It's got to go. I don't understand the taunting penalty. If they're like, oh, we're trying to prevent fights, how often do those really happen? And then I feel like the NFL is one of the best sports at stopping fights. And then the penalties or the fines for fights are high enough as it is. So I don't see a reason why we need to continue with this taunting penalty. Get rid of it. I'm sorry that it hurt. There's no reason. If somebody's feeling gets hurt, that's their problem. It's football. Emotions are high. Let them play. We don't need refs determining outcomes of games. It's getting old already. The next bad thing I have written down here, and like I said, this week really wasn't big on anything too special, good or bad. I don't really think there was. It was a week of football that it was fun, but it's not a memorable week of football. Like no one's gonna really remember much. But for me, as a Chiefs fan, I was going to remember that London game, and I was like, I thought that game was going to go into overtime, and I was going to be really, really upset. I really was. That kick right for the Jaguars has become one of my favorite players ever, just because he was able to kick the game-winning field goal and end that game. I really didn't think a team was going to win that game. I thought it was going to go to overtime, and I wasn't happy. Like I said, I wanted that game to end so badly, and when it did, I jumped up and down. I was the biggest Jaguars fan on the planet at that time, because that game took forever and it wouldn't end. And so, yeah, I'm thank you, Jaguars, for kicking that off, and screw the London game for almost going to overtime. For the Vikings, I have the Vikings down there just because they just never seem to be able to win a game. So like I'm not putting their victory per se as bad. What I'm putting as bad is their inability to just win a game. They play close games. They have to win on last second field goals. I think they've done it like 2 or 3 times already this year. So the Vikings are on there for bad just because of the fact that they just can't win it. They just can't win a game convincingly. It always has to come down to a last second thing. And they should have, but their special teams collapsed and then they gave up a long touchdown drive. So yeah, that one's on the Vikings. They just can't seem to win normally, and it's not a recipe for success right now for them, and I don't think it's going to sustain. I think if they keep playing like this, they're probably going to lose a lot of games. The next one we have is that roughing the passer call on Kyler Murray. I guess you can't even look at the quarterback anymore without getting a penalty. Like, the dude barely touched him. I'll never understand that one. That one was not a penalty. That roughing the passer call was really stupid, and they didn't really determine the outcome of the game because the Browns played terribly all game long. They couldn't stop anything. They couldn't do anything offensively, but still, that roughing the passer penalty on Kyler Murray, towards Kyler Murray, was a terrible call. Like, the refs are trying to get involved way too much this year, and it just needs to stop. No one pays to watch football games for the refs. If anything, we go there in spite of them and never wanting to listen to them because they're so annoying. Why do refs think they're important? And another thing, and this goes back to the London game that I have written down. It's been nice the last 2 weeks to have football on literally all day long from the time you wake up till bed. But man, can we give this a rest for a little while until next year, preferably? Like, as much as it is fun to watch football all day every day, or all day on Sundays, I wouldn't say every day, but watching football all day, it was nice while it lasted. But man, please, no more 8:30 kickoffs. That's my time. 9:30 Eastern kickoffs. Please, no more. They've got to end. Stop them. It was fun while it lasted. It's time. Too much of a good thing. Is it really a good thing anymore? Enough of those. And then the last bad thing I have written down is Mike McCarthy. And then I guess we can add Brandon Staley on this. Their inability. Brandon Staley can get a pass because his was, he's an aggressive coach. He knows what he's doing. He's done it all year long. His was against the Ravens, going forward on the 4th and short in his own territory, giving the Ravens really short field position. I thought that was really, really stupid. But if you look at the Cowboys, what Mike McCarthy did was really dumb. So he went for it on 4th and short in his own territory really early on in the game, causing a turnover on downs to give the Patriots a touchdown. But whenever he was in his own territory later in the game, I think it was to win it. I don't remember the score or the situation. But he kicked a field goal. His kicker missed when I feel like in that situation, he probably should have went for it. So Mike McCarthy, his inability to make good decisions is just, what, is he even the head coach? Because I don't think he does anything. I think he just stands there. So yeah, Mike McCarthy just doesn't know what he's doing. I think he's lost. I think he's just there to collect a paycheck. He's lost. I don't know what he's doing. All right, now we can look at the good for this week. And a good thing for me personally as a fan, as I love watching football. I'll watch it all day, every day that it's on. But the bye week starting up, I think is, it's nice. That's just a good thing. That's a little good thing that happened this week. It allows us as sports fans to focus in on each individual game a little bit more because there's fewer games that are being played. I just, that part of the season where buys start up and we get to focus on fewer games. It just allows us to consume them a little bit better. Know the feel, know the story of every game better. So yeah, that was it's just nice to see buys starting up. Another one, and this is back to the Chiefs game. The Chiefs defense stepping up really big. I think they really only had one. I mean, they had a couple plays, big plays that they gave up, but they had really only one bad, awful play, I think, all game. And it was a blown coverage. Again, that just seems to be their favorite thing to do. They have to have at least one blown coverage every game. But their defense, the Chiefs' defense, man, it was on point. It couldn't be stopped. Like, they were stopping everything. No one could do anything against them. So yeah, they couldn't be stopped. It was beautiful to see the defense tighten up and play its best game. I saw that Juan Thornhill finally played every snap. Sorensen didn't play as much. Ben Neiman didn't necessarily play as much as he normally would. Anthony Hitchens didn't play as much. They started some younger guys. Fenton in the secondary along with Snead, Thornhill, Honey Badger. Like, they played some great football this year. And so the Chiefs defense is, I would say it's stepping in the right direction, but one win over a mediocre Washington team isn't going to be enough. But still, I was impressed with the way the defense played, and I'm really happy to see, the defense making strides in the right direction. Another thing was that Hail Mary by the Browns at the end of the first half. That was about the only highlight that they had from their week. I just wanted to put that on there for them because they need something after a terrible game by Baker and their entire team. But you got to give credit where credit's due. I mean, it was all luck, but good on the Browns for making something happen out of a really bad day. The Jags in London, they did end the 20-game losing streak, which is just awful, man. 20 games in a row. I'm glad Trevor Lawrence finally got his first win, and I guess Urban Meyer is out of the doghouse for a week, I guess, after everything that went down with him. So yeah, it was cool to see the Jags, in their 20-game losing streak, not winning streak. Geez, that would be one heck of a story if they won 20 games in a row. So yeah, congrats on the Jags and winning a game in London that I just wanted to end, and it was miserable. The next thing was Aaron Rodgers taunting the Bears fan. He's just yelling, "I own you." It's funny. Watching Aaron Rodgers have fun is really, it's the best Aaron Rodgers to watch play football. Like, he may not have had his best game, but whenever he made the play in the moment that needed it the most, and he was just like, "I own you. I still own you." It was fun. You can't taunt the players, but you can taunt the fans all you want. So yeah, that was really, really funny. And the last good thing I have is Trayvon Diggs. Man, this dude is on fire. Yeah, he got, he had a pick six, got burned the next play, to give up that deep touchdown to the Patriots. But man, this dude is easily a top. He's probably defensive player of the year, and you'll see my player of the week. Might give him a run for his money. But yeah, Trayvon Diggs, man, that dude can do any and everything. It feels like. I think he's a star. The Cowboys have good pieces on defense. They did give up a lot of points this week. They didn't play necessarily their best game on defense, but Trayvon Diggs came up big in a situation to at least keep the Cowboys alive. And then the next play, like I said, he got burned. But this dude is awesome. You got to give respect where credit where credit is due. He 7 interceptions in 6 games. That's crazy. Now we are going to look at my player of the week, and as you can see on the screen there is TJ Watt. But let me give out some honorable mentions. And like I said, there wasn't really much this week that was worth hanging our hat on. But, I have to give, on the defensive side of the ball, like I just said, Trayvon Diggs, 7 interceptions, already this season through 6 games. He's had one in every game. That's really awesome. And then Matthew Stafford, he had a awesome day against the Giants. I wouldn't expect anything less, so that's why I didn't give it to him. But yeah, he had a good game. Jonathan Taylor had a good game against the Texans. CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott had both had very solid, massive games against the Patriots. Both of those guys played their hearts out. So, those are some honorable mentions. But for me, it's TJ Watt, man. That dude is worth every penny that the Steelers are paying him that he wanted. He made big plays all night long. He's unguardable. He caused the strip sack fumble at the end of the game. He had 2 sacks on that, 7 tackles. I mean, that dude, he's a play disruptor. He can do. I think he even had a couple pass defenses. And so, it was nice. It's nice to see TJ Watt. That Watt family is beast on defense. JJ hasn't really had his, I wouldn't say a bad season by any means. But JJ hasn't had any, sacks, I don't think, this year. But like TJ, man, he's a disruptor. He can do anything. He's a beast on that defense for the Steelers, which really needs it because the Steelers' offense was complete. Like the Steelers' offense played okay in that game, but that offense isn't very flashy, isn't very good. It's very stale. It doesn't do big plays. I feel like the Steelers' offense is made of 2 plays, deep passes, and checkdowns. Like if that's not what they're doing, then they're not doing anything else well. But yeah, TJ Watt, man, he's the life of that defense. And then you have Cameron Hayward in the middle. Like Steelers' defense is not something you want to be messed with. Yeah, in the second half, the Seahawks were able to run the ball a little bit, but man, TJ Watt, he's worth every penny that the Steelers paid him this offseason.